Hi everyone, I'm Hextasy, and today we're going to be playing through a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokémon Scarlet, but we can only use Pokémon heavier than your mom. Now, how on earth could I, a disembodied voice on the internet, know how much your mom weighs? Well, last time I saw her, I believe was on an episode of My 600-Pound Life, so we'll set that as the required weight. Getting right into the run, Clavel presents us with 3 Pokémon for us to choose. Our mom says choosing one isn't an easy task, but she couldn't be more wrong, since there is only one Pokémon here that we can actually take. Sprigatito and Quaxly evolve into Twinks that we can't use, but Fuecoco evolves into a 700-pound absolute fat ass of a croc. We'll name them Big Boy, and we encounter our first problem. Fuecoco is notably not 600 pounds, which you can tell because my arm is not immediately shattered by his girth. So we'll have to add that we can use any Pokemon that evolve into something that weighs enough. We get through some boring story content. Big Boy brings the smackdown on Nimona and Arven pretty easily, and we arrive at South Province Area 1, where we should be able to find a Mudbray, who will evolve into a 1-ton horse. Except this place is massive, and we are as slow as molasses, so we boot up the game on my main account and fly around looking for Mudbray, and after a solid 15 minutes of searching, despite every source saying Mudbray exists in this area, I could not find a single one and have to assume they don't actually exist. So we'll have to start our second battle with Nimona with just Big Boy. Her Sprigatito isn't an issue for us, but the Pawmi that comes in after is. It terastallizes to boost the power of its only move, Thundershock, which would make this a free win for a Mudbray. Too bad I don't have one. Thundershock does a solid bit of damage to Big Boy, and our Ember takes out less than half. We survive a second Thundershock, but can't handle a third, so it looks like this is a reset. Oh, never mind. I guess the first Ember was just a low damage roll. We remember we can get DLC outfits and get ourselves swagged out before entering Mesagoza and hitting the 15-minute wall of dialogue that is Naranja Academy. Eventually, we get through it all and it's time to explore. Just kidding. We get a call from some nerd who tells us to go back to the academy and get hit by another wall of dialogue before we're taken to the first DLC area, Kitakami. And luckily, there's some caves here in Kitakami Path that hold Geodudes, whose final evolution, Golem, weighs around 661 pounds. We name them Big Cheese, and it's time to skedaddle back to Paldea. Oh. We are trapped here. We will die here. Well, we blow through some more story content, beat Carmine, and finally get to return home. And then we fly right back to Kitakami because I realized there's another Chonker we can find right away. We get to sit through more story content and another wall of dialogue because I dared to step in the wrong spot, but afterwards we can head into the Apple Hills, where we should be able to find a Munchlax. I say should, because once again, every source is saying Munchlax are here, but we check the orchard, by the shrine, in the caves, at the end of the area, and we begin busting out the picnic table to erase all life on the map so new Pokemon, hopefully a Munchlax, will replace them. But after an hour, the only Munchlax we found was the one at the back of the Kitakami path when I accidentally fell off a cliff. Eventually, we bite the bullet and hit up the Wistful Fields and catch Big Chungus the Munchlax there. And unfortunately, they are level 18, so we can't use them for the first 2 gyms and the first Titan. Speaking of gyms, we head back to Paldea and beat the janky-ass Olive Roll, letting us take on the first gym leader, Katie, but she is a Bug-type trainer, and the fire-type Big Boy tears through our team with ease. The level cap is boosted up to 16, coincidentally the same level as the Mudbray we find in West Province Area 1, who we name Big Shot. And this is also the level where we can evolve Big Boy into a Crocalor. We then take on Cloth, the Stony Cliff Titan, and Big Shot has great stats and a great typing against this thing. We quickly send it into the second phase of the fight, where Arven joins us, but Big Shot is a one-man show, and we terrastalize them, and Arven's Shelter falls victim to friendly fire from us spamming Bulldoze. Not like they were doing much to help us anyways, since they were using the healing Life Dew on both turns it was alive, one of which both of us was at full HP for. Cloth dies to a Bulldoze, and our frame rate begins to die as we take on the second gym challenge. We reach Brassius, the Grass-type gym leader, and well, we still have the Fire-type Big Boy. Brassius can't do anything until a Sudowoodo comes in and terrastalizes into a Grass-type. They survive an Incinerate and hit us with a Trailblaze to boost their speed. They're faster now and land a Rock Throw, but we live and another Incinerate finishes them off to win the fight. Big Chungus the Munchlax is finally within the level cap, so we begin running all over the region to build up friendship to evolve them, only stopping when we find and catch a shiny Skiddo. They're not heavy enough for us to use, but I am really digging how it looks. Anyways, we can evolve Big Chungus into a Snorlax, our first Pokemon who is over 600 pounds, and we'll take on the next Titan, Bombardier, the poorly animated Titan. Normally, this thing can pose an issue, but this is another Titan getting countered by stats and typing. We have Big Cheese use Defense Curl and Rollout. We miss the second rollout and have to restart it, and end up losing more HP than I would have liked going into the second phase of the fight. Arven, once again, chooses to be useless, and just spams Rock Polish while we do all the hard work and take out Bombardier with a Defense Curl rollout combo. We're taking on our first team star boss next, Giacomo, the Dark-type trainer. His Pawniard can hit Big Shot with a Metal Claw before getting annihilated by a double kick, but his real issue, the Starmobile, comes in. Their Intimidate ability is blocked by Big Shot's own Tempo ability, and we lose half our special defense before landing a Bulldoze. I'm not confident we'll survive an attack, so we swap to Big Chungus, a massive special wall that doesn't take a whole lot of damage from Snarl. We have Big Chungus start throwing out Covets while we get hit by metal sounds, and you might notice I am not doing the smart thing and terrastalizing here, an issue that will pop up a few times in the run. During those times, just know that I'm saving that terrastalization in case things go pear-shaped. This fight goes on for a while, and we keep Big Chungus healthy through switching to reset stat drops, and using the Resto Chesto strat while using Recycle to recover the Chesto Berry to keep us healthy. Eventually, I do realize that we should just terrastalize Big Chungus anyway, since there's a good chance we lose if they die. And after a long, hard battle, we win without a single loss. The third Nemona battle is up next, but this is another easy one. Her Rockruff and Palmy are both countered by Big Shot, and we can bring out Big Boy to take on her Florigato, winning us the fight. This lets us take on the third gym leader, who is one of the hardest fights in the game in my opinion, but I think we should have a team that goes well into hers. We play through the gym challenge and take on Iono, who starts with a Watrel against Big Cheese, who loses their Oranberry to a Pluck before we land a Smackdown for big damage. We take them out with a Bulldoze on the next turn, and Belly Bolt comes in. We swap to Big Chungus on a Water Gun, then survive a Spark before using Covet for decent damage. This unfortunately activates their Electromorphosis ability, but we swap to Big Shot, who is immune to the incoming Spark. We lose a solid bit of HP to a Water Gun, then use Bulldoze. not KOing, but dropping their speed and letting us land a second bulldoze before they can move, taking them down. Luxio is in next, goes down to a bulldoze, and all she has left is her ace Pokemon, Miss Magius. We swap to Big Chungus, and she uses Hex, which doesn't hurt us. We Terrastallize, get hit by a Confuse Ray, are immediately healed by our Persim Berry, and land a Covet for big damage. Next turn, Miss Magius uses Charge Beam, hardly hurting us, and one more Covet wins us the fight. Big Cheese hits level 25 during the fight, evolving into a Graveler at the end of it, and we can trade them to evolve them into a Golem off-screen. We take time to go buy a couple leftovers for the upcoming fights, the first of which is the second team star leader, Mela. We start with Big Cheese against her Torkoal, and our Bulldoze doesn't quite take out half her HP, so we Terrastallize into a pure rock type to give Smackdown enough power to score the KO. Her Starmobile comes in and lands a Screech to cut our defense in half before we land a Smackdown for solid damage. We then get hit by a Blazing Torque, which burns us, so the next Smackdown does significantly less damage. We swap to Big Boy on a Screech and get hit by a second one before landing a Snarl for pitiful damage. The Sun from Torkoal's Drought ability wears off, so we can swap to Big Chungus, who barely loses anything to a Blazing Torque thanks to their Thick Fat ability. Coincidentally, the same ability your mom has. We begin spamming out Covets, and even after being hit by a Screech and losing half our defense, Blazing Torque doesn't do a whole lot, and Big Chungus quickly wins the fight. Next up is Orthworm, the Lurking Steel Titan. This fight is a freebie, since any decently strong special attack will send them to the Shadow Realm in short order. But despite taking them out in about 2 seconds, we aren't done with them. When we reload the area, we'll be able to find the Titan Orthworm now as a normal-sized but catchable Pokemon. Now you may be thinking, why not catch something like a Roly-Coly here, since this is the only place we can get one, and save Orthworm for one of the Kitakami areas. Well, when you catch a Titan Pokemon, it has nearly perfect IVs, which we will definitely need for the next gym leader, whose ace Pokemon is very strong against our entire team. We name our Orthworm Big Iron, and get started on Cascarafa's Gym Challenge, a solid contender for Worst Gym Challenge, not just in the game, but in the series. We blow through it as fast as possible, evolve Big Shot into a Mudsdale, and take on the 4th gym leader, Kofu. He starts with a Veluza, and we start with Big Chungus, who we have used Trailblaze to boost their speed, but no matter how much faster we get, we will never get fast enough to outspeed his Veluza or Wug Trio before KOing them. His ace Pokemon Crabominable comes in, and we have to swap to Big Iron as he Terrastallizes into a Water type, and uses the super effective Rock Smash to take out about a third of our HP and drop our defense. Well, that's no bueno. We use Dig to buy us some time for leftovers to heal us, but it doesn't do a lot of damage, and Crab Hammer brings us low. A second attack will definitely kill Big Iron. And there's nothing we can safely bring out on this thing, so we just begin using Headbutt and hoping they flinch. They flinch the first time, but not the second, and a Rock Smash kills Big Iron. So much for burning an encounter for a few extra IVs. Big Shot is basically our only hope here, so we Terrastallize them, hoping to finish Kofu off with one more attack. But Crabominable moves first and lands a Crab Hammer. This leaves Big Shot with just 1 HP, and we then land a high horsepower to net us the KO and win the fight. It's about time we go hunt for some more Pokemon to add to the team. So we return to Kitakami for the final time. We find a Swinub on Reveler's Road and name them Big If True. I realize now that I used this exact same naming scheme for a different video a while back, but we can't dwell on that since there's still one more chonker here in Kitakami. We head back to Mosui Town, where the Earth tries to talk to us before a dog and a woman phase into existence, and by accomplishing the quest this woman gives us, we will be able to catch a Blood Moon Ursaluna, who is well over 700 pounds. But they are also level 70, just a little past the final level cap. But how about a regular Ursaluna? That thing is still over 600 pounds. Well, not only is the item needed to evolve Ursaring into Ursaluna not obtainable in this game, even if I were able to get one through a glitch, the few sources I checked said the ability for Ursaring to evolve is just outright not present in this game. So Big If True really is the final Kitakami Pokemon we'll be getting. We head back to Paldea, where we catch this big the Citadel at the Dollypaza Passage, and with an Ice Stone that we can find not far from here, we can evolve them into Cititan. We'll also evolve Big If True into a Piloswine, and pick up enough leftovers for the rest of the team to hold before we challenge Team Star's third leader, Atticus. He starts with a Skuntank against Big Cheese, and they immediately badly poison us with a Toxic before getting hit hard by a Bulldoze. They land a Sucker Punch before going down, and Rev of Room is in next. They have a strong, super effective Steel-type move in Iron Head, but Big Cheese should be fine. See, they even take Rev of Room down with a single Bulldoze, then die to poison damage. Maybe a P.E.K.K.A. Berry would have been better than leftovers here. Muck is out next, while we bring in Big If True, who has to survive 2 Sludge Waves before taking them out with a Stomping Tantrum, and all that's left to deal with is his Starmobile. We bring in Big Chungus, who doesn't lose a whole lot of HP to a Spin Out, and begin to spam Chilling Waters to get some damage off while lowering their attack. And since this move doesn't make contact, it doesn't activate the Starmobile's Toxic Debris ability. A happy coincidence, since I completely forgot about this thing's ability. Once its attack is low enough, we can bring out Big Shot to terrestrialize them and end the fight with a couple of high horsepowers safely. The next gym and Nemona fights are back-to-back without time to change moves or items between them, and while we do already have a solid team for taking her on, I like to have a couple backup plans when possible, and the Bergmite we catch on Glaciato Mountain is perfect for handling her Meowscarada if things go south. The level cap for the 5th gym is 36, just one below the level Bergmite evolves at, so by getting them to the edge of leveling up, we'll guarantee that they get enough experience from the fight to level up and evolve. Speaking of evolving, we evolve Big If True into a Mamoswine, and Big Boy into a Skeledirge. We phase through the door of a restaurant to answer the question for a gym challenge, and it's time to take on the 5th gym leader, Larry. He starts with a Kamala against Big Shot, who takes a surprisingly high amount of damage from a couple slams before taking them out with a double kick, and his Dunsparce is in next. We barely survive a Hyper Drill, and take out less than half their HP with a double kick, so it's time to swap out. We bring in this Big, who tanks Hyper Drill well, then lands a bounce before being paralyzed by Glare. They power through to finish them with an Avalanche, and Larry's ace, Staraptor, is out. We swap to Big Boy the Skeledirge, and Larry stops to have a conversation with the chef, look out at the crowd, terrestrialize his Staraptor, throws out a depressing quip, and then uses the normal type facade into the ghost type that's been looking him in the eye for the past 2 minutes. We use Yawn to put them to sleep, but it turns out they don't do enough damage with Aerial Ace for us to worry, and a couple Torch Songs takes them out to win the fight. Big Picture evolves into an Avalugg, and the Nemona fight begins. She starts with a Lycanroc, and we start with Big Shot, who is pretty much unthreatened here, and a high horsepower takes out Lycanroc. Gumi is in next, and Big Chungus easily handles their special attacks and a single body slam KOs. Next out is her Pomo, so it's back to Big Shot to claim another victim with high horsepower, and all that's left is her Meowscarada. We switch to Big Boy, who doesn't take a lot of damage from the Terra boosted Flower Trick, and the good thing about Flower Trick always critting is we don't have to account for a 4% chance it's about to do way more damage. Anyways, we Terrastalize and a single flamethrower nets us the win. We can then head to Montevera City, where we can begin blowing all our money on drugs before heading into the next gym. The gym challenge here is just a couple double battles, but it's also the last fun gym challenge in the game. We quickly get to the battle with Rhyme, who starts with a Bayonet and Mimikyu against Big Chungus and Big Picture. We use Chilling Water against her Mimikyu to drop their attack, and we'll keep them alive for as long as possible, so this fight is basically a 2v1. And a super effective Crunch nearly kills Bayonet, causing the crowd to give us a free boost to our attacking stats. Mimikyu uses Light Screen, which only helps us keep it alive, and Bayonet goes down to a Crunch, and Houndstone is in next. The crowd decides to boost our offenses again, allowing Big Chungus to take out Houndstone with a single Crunch, and her ace Pokemon Toxtricity is in. It Terrastalizes into a Ghost type before using Discharge, killing their companion Mimikyu, and not doing much else. They go down to a Crunch, and that's the 6th badge in the bag. We begin looking around North Province Area 3 for our next encounter, a Cufant, but we accidentally go a little too far and walk back into Glaceado Mountain territory. Something I didn't notice because I was too busy pointing and laughing at the Cufant that just fell off the cliff to their deaths here. We catch Big Deal the Cufant, breaking the 1 Pokemon per area rule, something I didn't notice until editing. So we lose the run here, but pretending we caught this thing just a couple feet to the east, we'll see how much farther we can go. We have another Nemona fight, and despite her evolving Gumi and Palmo, it's more or less the exact same fight as the last time, with the same results. We evolve Big Deal into a Copperaja, and the next gym and Titan are at the same level cap, so we'll take on the Titan first. This Titan is good into literally everything we have thanks to its phenomenal offensive typing, so we have to have a solid game plan here. We go kill a bunch of Psyducks, spend way too long searching for Surskits to slaughter, turn their parts into a Chilling Water TM, get the next gym challenge, and probably the worst one, out of the way since it does involve a couple fights, and now we fight Great Tusk, the Quaking Earth Titan. We bring in Big Picture to take them on, since they have insane physical bulk, which is only helped by us using Chilling Water to drop Great Tusk's attack. We cause them to retreat and begin the second half, made easier by Arven not being useless this time, and actually hitting this thing and even kill-stealing it. No one levels up from this, so we'll have a full team against the 7th gym leader, Tulip, who starts with a Farigiraf, who can't do anything against Big Picture and goes down to some crunches. Gardevoir is in next, so we bust out our Big Chungus, who loses half of their HP before beating Gardevoir with a heavy slam. Espathra comes in, goes down to Crunch, and all that's left is her Florges that Terrastalizes into a Psychic type. It nearly kills Big Chungus with a Moonblast, and our Crunch fails to KO, so we bring out Big Deal, who also tanks them very well, Terrastalize them, and use Heavy Slam to finish the fight. No longer having to worry about the level cap, we go to Asado Desert to catch the Great Tusk Titan and name them Big Top. We choose them over the Hippowdon and Stonejourner we can also find in the desert, because there's still a chance we find them in some terror raids. Nope, we gather over 1 million experience in EXP candies gotten from terror raids, and didn't see a single raid for Stonejourner, Hippopotas, Hippowdon, Roly-Coly, Carkol, or Colossal. I guess it was just never meant to be. Anyways, we're here at Glaceado, so let's take on the gym challenge. One that is so absurdly easy that it can be beaten by doing nothing. Moving on to the battle with Grusha, the final gym leader. He starts with the Frostmoth against Big If True, who moves first and misses their Rock Blast, allowing them to use Tailwind. They're faster now and miss a Blizzard before we miss a second Rock Blast. Their second Blizzard hits, wipes out half our HP, and we finally land a Rock Blast for the KO. So Titan is in next, and we bring in Big Deal on an Ice Spinner, and they need to survive a Liquidation before landing a one-hit KO Iron Head. We switch to Big Picture for their Bear Tick, and a few Body Slams takes them out, and for his Ace Altaria, we bring in Big Chungus to use Heavy Slam for the win. That's all the gym leaders down, but there's still another Titan Pokemon and 2 Team Star bosses for us to beat. Well, Ortega has an absurdly abysmal matchup into us, so we'll just skip over the slaughter and say there's 1 Team Star boss left for us to beat. For that one, we'll need to make a lot of preparations because her Starmobile is insane if you're not prepared for it. We go to Alfornada City to get the Bulk Up TM, begin beating up everyone we come across in the desert to get the Earthquake TM, head back to Alfornada to get the Substitute TM, and EV train our Pokemon. After all that, we can get into the battle with the final Team Star boss, Aerie. We start with Big Boy, and she starts with a Toxicroak, and that was her biggest mistake. She goes for a Sucker Punch, useless since we use Substitute, and then we begin to spam out Growls. But we aren't going to stop once Toxicroak hits -6, the minimum. We keep growling because Toxicroak only has 3 moves: Brick Break, Poison Jab, and Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch only has 5 PP and runs out of uses quickly, but Poison Jab has 20, and we need to stall out all of those so it can only use Brick Break. Without the fear of being poisoned, we can bring out Big Top, who can get out the 6 Bulk Ups to maximize their attack and defense, use Rapid Spin to take out Toxicroak to boost our speed, and now we're faster than all her Pokemon. We proceed to one-shot everything with either Brick Break or Earthquake to win us the fight. That's the last of Team Star's leaders beaten, and we just need to take on the last Titan, but this one isn't very interesting. Big Picture easily walls and beats Dondozo. Arven actually makes himself useful again, and his Greedent gets a double KO with her takedown, and the Tatsugiri is easily walled and beaten by Big Chungus. It's time to move on to the Elite Four, but before we head over there, we get a little training in, and end up finding a shiny Buizel. We then head over to the Pokemon League building, take the boring-ass pointless test at the start, and begin the fight with the first Elite Four member, Rika. She starts with a Whiscash, who doesn't deal much damage to Big Chungus with their special moves, and we take them out with a couple Trailblazes. Rika didn't learn her lesson and brings in her only other special attacker, Camerupt, next, and we show them what's what with a couple surfs before Big Chungus falls asleep thanks to a yawn. Donphan is in next, so we swap to the superior Big Top, who proceeds to set up 3 Bulk Ups before eviscerating the rest of her team to win the fight. Next up is the Steel Trainer Poppy, and she starts with a Copperajah against Big Chungus, who uses Charm 3 times in a row to minimize their attack before we swap out to Big Shot, who can freely set up 3 Iron Defenses and blow through her entire team with a few Body Presses. A move that uses the defense stat for damage calculation. Larry is up next, now using a flying type team. He starts with a Tropius, and we bring out Big Boy, who sets up a substitute before they use Sunny Day. Not a good idea for them. A critical hit Air Slash breaks our substitute before we use Flame Charge to boost our speed, and we are now faster. We get a new substitute up, and their air slash doesn't break it, so we're free to finish them with another flame charge. Staraptor comes in and barely survives a Torch Song before breaking our sub with a Brave Bird. But every time we use Torch Song, our special attack goes up a stage, so when we take out Staraptor with a second one, we're at double our normal special attack, and things snowball out of control for Larry there, and his final Pokemon, Flamigo, gets one shot by a Torch Song to win us the fight. The last Elite Four member before the champion is Hassel, who starts with a Noivern, while we start with this big, who loses most of their HP to a Super Fang before landing an Ice Spinner for the KO. Haxorus comes out next, and we bring in Big Deal on an Iron Head, not taking a whole lot of damage. Haxorus hits us with a Crunch, and we use Growl, because that is the best, most consistent attack reducing move that Big Deal had access to. We swap to Big If True, who knows the twice as good charm to speed it up now that they can survive a couple attacks. They're hit by Crunch on the switch, then gets hit by an Iron Head, and flinches. Well, that's not great, but there is a decent chance we'll survive another attack to get another charm off. Nope. Haxorus' second Iron Head kills Big If True. Screw it. Weakening them enough to get a good setup going is going to be a bit more tedious now, so let's just kill him. We bring out Big Picture and Terrastalize to boost our Ice Spinner. Not that it matters since we're hit by a critical hit Iron Head that flinches us. We survive another attack and use Recover before we try for another Ice Spinner, except we flinch to another Iron Head. But the next one doesn't flinch us, and an Ice Spinner takes out Haxorus. Dragalge is in next, so we swap to our resident special tank on a Sludge Bomb, and take them out with a couple Earthquakes, but not before getting poisoned. Flapple is out next, so we swap to Big Deal as they use Leech Seed, but we don't plan on hitting them, and begin using Growl. Once Big Deal is too weak to continue, we swap to Big Picture to use Chilling Water to finish dropping their attack, and finally switch into Big Boy, who can use Substitute to protect ourselves from Leech Seed, use a Flame Charge to guarantee we're faster than Hassel's final Pokemon, and begin throwing out Torch Songs to boost our special attack enough for us to take out Baxcalibur, with a couple Shadow Balls to win us the fight. To finish up the E4 challenge, we need to take on Miss Utterly Incapable herself, and she starts with an Espathra who gets destroyed by Big Chungus, and her next 4 Pokemon are all annihilated by Big Boy, who is outsped by Glamora, who breaks their substitute and only loses half their HP to our Shadow Ball. We swap back to Big Chungus on a Terra Blast, and they handle it well, surviving a second and finishing off Glamora with an Earthquake to win the fight. And now it's time to go through the last few battles to finish up the 3 storylines before the final battle. Starting with Arven, whose Greedent can't do anything to Big Boy, who gets off a couple of Flame Charges and Torch Songs against them to snowball into an insurmountable problem for an easy win. Clavel is up next, and he starts with an Oranguru against Big Chungus. We expect them to use Yawn, but instead use Foul Play as we use Crunch. They're low on health after the first one, so we use Sunny Day to pave the way for Big Top to annihilate his team after Oranguru hits Big Chungus with a Yawn. We swap to Big Top on a Foul Play that barely hurts us and take out Oranguru. And then they send in Abomasnow, whose ability turns our sun into snow, and Big Top loses their photosynthesis boost. Deadass. I don't know why my brain just decided Abomasnow didn't exist when I was coming up with a strategy for this fight. Well, we'll have to improvise now. Close Combat takes out Abomasnow, and a Moongus comes in. We swap to Big Chungus on a Spore, and then have to survive a couple Giga Drains before we wake up and use Rest to go back to sleep and restore all our HP. When we wake up, we get off an Earthquake before resting again, and this pattern continues for a while, and we eventually take them out with an Earthquake while staying at max HP. Houndoom is out next, and after getting hit by a Dark Pulse, we land a one-hit KO Earthquake, and Poltegeist is in. We use Sunny Day before landing back-to-back crunches for the KO, and his final Pokemon, the one I hate more than anything else, Quaquaval is in. We swap to Big Boy on a Brick Break, negating the damage, then swap to Big Picture on an Aqua Step that barely hurts. They use Brick Break next for more damage, but it'll do less damage next turn after we land a Chilling Water to cut its attack. They can barely hurt us now, and a couple Body Slams takes them out to win the fight. Right after this is the fight with Penny, but this absolute nerd has the tactical sense of a toddler and starts with an Umbreon with a horrendous moveset for a wall. So she's just begging for us to set up on them. Big Picture easily maxes out their defense using Iron Defense, their speed with Rapid Spin, and stays healthy with Recover, and proceeds to crush her entire team with Body Press. The only one that might survive is her ace Pokemon Sylveon, but its defense ain't too great, so this should be in the bag. We do not get the KO, and get hit by a critical hit Terra boosted stab Moonblast, and survive off of 7 HP. As long as their quick attack doesn't crit, we win without a death. They don't use quick attack for some reason, and our Body Press KOs to win the fight. The final Nemona battle is up next, and as always, she starts with a Lycanroc that gets bodied by Big Shot. Goodra comes in next, so we swap to Big Chungus on an Ice Beam and net another KO after a couple Body Slams, while easily tanking all of their attacks. Palma is in next, and instead of relying on Big Shot to beat them like usual, we bring out Big Top on a close combat. We're brought below half HP by a second close combat, then use Rapid Spin for great damage and allowing us to outspeed them and land a second Rapid Spin for the KO. The Dunsparce comes in and gets beaten by a close combat, and her next Pokemon is Orthworm. We swap to Big Picture so we can bait out an Iron Tail, ironically on an Iron Tail, then swap to Big Boy who avoids the Iron Tail. We were just hoping to reduce damage to Big Boy when we brought them in, but no damage is even better. We outspeed them and land a Torch Song to get the one-hit KO, and her final Pokemon, Meowscarada, comes in. They Terrastalize, but so do we, getting rid of our Ghost typing just before they can use Shadow Claw, and we take them out with a Torch Song to win the fight, and all that's left is one more battle. We enter Area 0 with our friends and Penny, and begin heading for the bottom. We try to take a shortcut and end up getting stuck on a roof, but eventually make it to the bottom and meet Arven's mom. Now, this is actually a robot of his mom, and given that it is made of metal, could Arven's mom feasibly be over 600 pounds? Well, unfortunately, as far as I can tell after doing 8 seconds of research, most human-sized robots end up being very roughly between 150 and 300 pounds. So really, we just doubled the weight restriction and could have been using way more Pokemon. Anyways, it's time for that final battle with Seda, who starts with a Slitherwing against Big Boy. They're faster and hit us with a Zen Headbutt before we use Torch Song for big damage. Another one leaves us with just over half HP, and we use Flame Charge to boost our speed and get the KO. Brute Bonnet is in next, and they're likely to use Sucker Punch, so we use Substitute. Nope, they use Payback. There goes the Substitute. No Sucker Punch, it's Payback again. There goes our Substitute. We are definitely low enough for them to see that Sucker Punch is a kill, so we use Substitute. And they use Payback and break the sub. Well, if they haven't used Sucker Punch yet, they never will. So let's just go for a Torch Song and get this KO. Homies, I am about to crash out. We send out Big Top, and our booster energy gives us an attack boost, and a close combat is a one-hit KO. Screamtail comes in, and we swap to Big Deal on a play rough that barely hurts. We use back-to-back Iron Heads while we tank Drain Punches and take out Screamtail. Sandy Shocks is in next, and it outspeeds Big Deal and kills them with an Earth Power. So we bring out Big Chungus, who easily handles their special moves and finishes them with an Earthquake before Fluttermane comes in, but their Thunderbolt doesn't do much, and a Heavy Slam takes them out. The final enemy of the run is in next, a Roaring Moon given an attack boost by their booster energy. Their Dragon Claw nearly kills Big Chungus, and we use Heavy Slam, but it barely seems to hurt them, and a second Dragon Claw kills Big Chungus. Big Picture comes in, avoids a super effective Stone Miss, and lands an Ice Spinner that barely leaves them with any HP left. They Stone hit next turn, and even with the attack boost, it doesn't even take out half of Big Picture's HP, and we land one more Ice Spinner to win the fight and the run, if you ignore the Qfint debacle. Well, we weren't given a whole lot to work with, but made it work, and with a little more time, we could have gotten more to work with. Before we end the video, we'll Wonder Trade the shinies we caught away, and get a Rockruff and an Eevee. Nothing interesting. Anyways, I've been Hextasy, and thanks for watching.